Hi, I'm Tom Stringer. I'm an interior designer from Chicago, and I've been in the design business for 35 years. Probably like some other interior designers and architects, I have basically always been a designer from third grade on. I started designing houses on grid paper in the third grade. I've always been fascinated by systems. So I commandeered my brother's HO train set and wired it, did urban planning exercises, wired it for light. And it was really more about urban planning than trains, and, building mountains and out of paper mache. And then I moved on to commandeering my sister's dollhouse. And I, of course, had to redecorate that because she's never had great taste. And but I also wired it for light. And, it was like a whole thing. And then I moved on to designing landscape. My grandmother's joke was that I was one day going to be the White House gardener. That was an early ambition. That seemed like, like the highest calling for a landscaper, to a probably 7-year-old. But I basically always knew I would be in some ways related to design. I have a staff of 23 right now, 5 in architecture, 4 in administration, and the balance are all interior designers. So we do run a pretty big office. I have 2 senior designers that really manage the breadth of my work. And that lets me focus on 2 things: the creativity, the design direction, and then the client relationship. We have done a wide range of projects that are very unique. I've designed interiors for horse ranch properties, for contemporary architecture. I've designed a horse ranch that was really dedicated to dressage, and another one that was dedicated to Western riding, to roping. We've done a fair number of yacht projects, which I think are fascinating. Right now, we're restoring a 19th century Georgian in Dublin, which is super fun. It's challenging because, one, it forces me to learn a new trick, which is to really be sensitive to period architecture, because it's a restoration project, not a remodel in that sense. Distance is, I guess distance is at some level a challenge, but really what distance does for us is it creates discipline. And we found that out a long time ago. My work has always been, most of my work has been outside of Chicago, for whatever reason. Our clients tend to be Midwestern in origin, but then they've moved around the planet and dragged me with them. Most of our work is on the 2 coasts. We do a fair amount of work in Aspen and Vail and those ski areas. But the large body of our work is in California, and then the East Coast from New York to Nantucket to Palm Beach. I grew up on the water. I grew up sailing. My dad was a sailboat racer as a pastime, and I have a really strong connection to the water and to boats. I have 3 boats myself, but I love working in yachting interiors. It's a completely different discipline. It's much more challenging technically. Everything from, ultimately a boat has to float. So it comes down to everything from balance in weight to durability. On a boat, what appears to be a rectangle is often not, because it's skived to the shape of the hull. I've often said, yachts are essentially, good ones are private residences at sea, but really they are, they're masquerading. What they really are is machines, and they have to go somewhere and they have to perform to high standards. The bigger yachts are really also hotels, often with a staff of 10 to 20 people, and they may be cranking out, including staff meals, 60, 80 meals a day. And oftentimes the service level is extraordinarily high, that, a guest's bed needs to be made and their room refreshed while they're at breakfast, so that by the time they get up, everything has been put back in its place. And I love that environment. It's, like I said, I'm kind of a systems geek. And so in a weird, tortured way, the harder you make a design problem, the more interesting it is to me. So, and I also love that yachting design is technically challenging, so it causes our staff to also have to grow. It is a learned skill, and I wouldn't, everything from the scale to the durability issues are different on a yacht than they are in a land-based home. One of the great luxuries of working in yachting design is, compared to the total cost of the vehicle, of the beast, the interiors are relatively a small proportion of that. And but that said, the budget for the interiors is typically much higher than it is for a land-based project. It's just, in relation, it seems lower. But we get to use really fabulous quality materials. The shipyards we've worked with have extraordinary wood shops, and I'm able to ask for and achieve some details that I honestly would probably get fired for if I tried to achieve in a land-based project. We did a Macassar ebony sky lounge on a yacht that all of the paneling was inset with polished nickel fillets that were set with machine screws. And I think if I specified that for a library in a New York apartment, I'd probably get shot when the bill arrived. We are moving into AI in terms of the visualization of our work. We're starting to streamline the collection of the way we collect imagery for inspiration and disseminate that among our peers. We're always trying to reinvent the business, and we're continuing to work very hard at reinventing employee benefits as well. We, last year, we created a sabbatical program for all of our employees, so that every 5 years they get a month's fully paid month off with a travel stipend. I travel a ton for work and for pleasure, and it's one of the most creatively stimulating things I can imagine doing. And I felt like I needed to kind of, walk the walk with my employees as well, to give them an opportunity to travel. And our only restriction is that we ask them during their month off to do something that is in some way helps them build on their career, creates another talent, another ability, and then to come back to our group and to relay that, so that we can all benefit from their experience in some way. And the second new benefit that we've added in the last year, just this year, is having been through some executive coaching and seen its power, we decided to make professional coaching available to all of our staff members as well. Yeah, it's kind of like, having a work therapist at hand, which I think is really fantastic. I think the thing that most people don't know about me is that it was a close call between design school and music school. I'm also classically trained in voice. I was a tenor. I sang in chamber choir professionally while I was still in high school. And so the big question ultimately was it going to be a College of Architecture or a College of Music? But my brother and sister are musicians, and I decided to take another path.